Hi guys, today I'm going to do a revisit video. Now this is an idea I had when I thought it would be interesting to look at my Sideshow T-Rex versus Triceratops 100 videos after my original review. Well, the Sideshow Carnotaurus was my 34th and 35th video, so here we are at 135. And what timing too, after the horrible disappointment that was the iToys Carnotaurus. I find myself in desperate need of Carnotaurus consolation and erasing the aftertaste of that travesty. Now this polystone statue was my second ever sideshow, and it was really hard to get him. By the time I discovered the sideshows, it was already pretty late in the game. And compounding that it was during a very difficult period of my life, so finances were a real struggle. It was very hard to find this one, because Sideshow isn't like Transformers, where you can easily find people reselling on the secondary market. In addition, Sideshow released a repaint, which I didn't like as much as the original, so I had to hold out for this one. Now the people who buy Sideshow tend to be serious about dinosaurs and not get into rubbish like sculpting, so it's not often I see them pop up on the secondary market. And this one was a rare find indeed. Now Carnotaurus was one of the abelisaurids who were getting busy in the south while the tyrannosaurids ran amok in the north. You can tell just by the bow plan that they lived very different lifestyles. T-Rex was a heavy, bulky bruiser, and Carnotaurus was lightly built and gracile. And while there's been debate about how fast T-Rex could run or whether it could run at all, there's no such debate with Carnotaurus. And this very dynamic pose certainly celebrates that active lifestyle. Carnotaurus was about 9 meters or 30 feet long. And this statue is about 51 centimeters or 20 inches down this axis, making this about 1:18 scale. And having a large canvas like this really shines when you look at the main feature of the animal, the head. Now Carnotaurus has the characteristically abelisaurid skull, short, deep and blunt. And you can really appreciate the detail when you look at the facial integument and how the scalation varies regionally. The knobby top is larger and bumpy. So are the cheeks. But in the face, they become very fine. The weak mandible also has finer, smaller scales. And you can see how they transition into the throat. Again, shaped very differently. Now, some of these scales are about the same size as you might see in a smaller scale model, which gives you an idea of the realism you'll get with a larger statue like this. There's some shrink wrapping over the entorbital fenestra, as was common at the time. The statue also illustrates the very slender mandible. It has a rather narrow skull, which you can appreciate here. And from this angle, you can also see it had some degree of stereoscopic vision for depth perception, which was doubtless useful for active hunting. The teeth are nicely sculpted, although there seems to be a few missing. Unless I'm miscounting, the lower jaw has only 12 teeth per side when there should be 15. As for the upper jaws, I count 4 premaxillary teeth per side, which is correct, but 9 maxillary teeth when there should be 12. Perhaps I'm miscounting, perhaps some just fell out, which is possible. They are very carefully painted. which is a nice change after we saw some of the painted teeth in the recent PNSO theropods. Now the horns are of course a defining characteristic of this dinosaur. They are very nicely faded from the brown at the base to the ivory of the tip. Near the base, there are faint groove lines, and overall it looks really good. The neck is thick and muscular, which is expected if indeed it used its head like an axe or a club. I like these skin creases, suggesting plenty of neck movement and a wide range of motion. Carnotaurus was one of the first dinosaurs discovered fossilized with extensive skin impressions, which was very exciting. There are even some apocryphal reports that there had been facial integument that was accidentally lost, which could have proven or disproven the existence of lips. I guess we'll never know. We do have impressions near the anterior cervical ribs, the scapular area, the thoracic region, and the lower proximal tail. There were irregular scutes separated by rough granular skin. And Bonaparte himself observed there was actually little regional variation, which didn't stop artists and sculptors from going to town anyway, often regardless of the size of the model, leading to oversizing of scales and scutes, but always visually and texturally interesting, such as this pepo here, which is the only one of two pepos I have. Again, this is a large canvas, so like in the head, there's the opportunity to have plenty of textural detail and still look realistic. The color isn't crazy garish, being of faint greens, lightening to a beige. And brown patterning that serves to break up the animal as a form of camouflage as it lies in ambush. And I think it's handled very well with smooth fades and transitions. Detail-wise, the sculptor hasn't gone overboard. You can see the texturing in the torso, near the spine, and then the flank. Quite similarly in the thigh here, in the belly region, you'll see some faint hatching or cross-hatching textures. On the underside, you'll see this most unusual armor. They look like interlocking scutes and a mosaic of scales, which is a very different approach if you're used to seeing the chainmail look of the PNSO dinosaur bellies. And on the legs and the feet, just look at the detail, the scalation here on the dorsal. And even on the plantar surface. And these spiky midline osteoderms aren't uniform or picture perfect. And I like that. as will be realistic. They have different sizes, shapes. And even here, you see where these two spikes have impacted and been forced to grow askew. It's a deformity that masks what would be a perfect stylized presentation, and that gives this statue a very organic touch. Now we get to what usually makes or breaks a Carnotaurus figure for me, the arms. Now both the proportions and form are very important. The radius and ulna, the forearm bones, were a quarter the length of the humerus. The elbow was immobile, no bending was possible. There were no carpals, meaning the wrist bones, so it couldn't have any wrist movement. No pronation, no flexion, no extension, nothing. As for the fingers, I think few people realize just how vestigial they were. You see here the left hand of a specimen, MACN CH894. The first metacarpal, or hand bone, has no phalanges, so no finger bones. The second metacarpal has one phalanx. The third metacarpal had one phalanx and one ungual. And the fourth metacarpal had no phalanges, although it was the longest one, and so it projects a bit further than the other metacarpals. So the Tyrannosaurid forelimbs, while tiny, were completely functional, while these were unequivocally useless. And I think that's brought out by the sculpting of these roundish bulges and wrinkled skin, suggesting mainly fattened skin with hardly any muscle. Now one little bone to pick, no pun intended, is the medial fingers are clawed, and I believe only digit 3 and possibly 2 may have been clawed, but not 1 and 4. The thighs and legs are thick with bulging muscle, as you might expect in a sprinter's legs. Now this is naturally speculative, as we don't have any of Carnotaurus from the knees down. And these tendons are taut with the strain and highlight the stress of the movement. As you can see, the claws are beautifully painted. The color and the fade makes them look so organic, and there's a translucence like the keratin over your nails that helps create a lifelike appearance. As for the tail, Carnotaurus is of course well known for having very powerful and voluminous caudofemoralis muscles. And this sideshow looks absolutely massive, not just from the side, but from the top as well, and very appropriately so. And finally, the base. It's pretty simple as bases go. There's a mud crack texture, a fallen log, some rocks, and the faint print of another animal here. Bases are great, especially for theropods because they free them from the constraint of having to balance. So you can have really dynamic poses like this with a really small connecting base of support and a CG that's so far out. You get the sense of speed and acceleration as this animal charges ahead. And it's a real fine example of an in-the-round sculpture that looks great from any angle. So that's our revisit of the Sideshow Dinosauria Carnotaurus. Really, it's sad the line ended without explanation or fanfare. And after so many years, I believe this came out in 2009, it still holds up on so many levels. I'd always thought there would be one to surpass it, but as far as I know, there hasn't been. The Damn Toys one doesn't do it for me for a variety of reasons. The Memory Museum one has arms I just can't accept. And as for the eye toy, well, we know how that turned out. I really do hope there will be a revival. The fact that so few come onto the secondary market shows how valued Sideshow Dinosauria are by collectors. And meanwhile, I'll just keep having this to look at, and I hope that now you can enjoy it too, at least by watching this video. So, I hope that this has erased from you the memory of the eye toy Carnotaurus, and I'll see you soon with another review.